I'm Erica,
And I'm Karen.
and we co-founded Lustre, Lustre, by the way. So today we're going to talk about what you can do to not be invisible, right? How to fight it.
We've thought about it a lot, and we have some somewhat concrete ideas about how to deal with it.
Right. So you can let it wash over you, right? And say, okay, it's like Grace and Frankie in the store going, excuse me, or me and a car dealer going, hello, hello. Or you can basically do something about it and say, I refuse to let them get away with this, right? So what can you do?
Well, one thing you can do is dress when you go out to make an impression, which does not mean the way some people show older women dressing like clowns, although that does make an impression, but it might not be the one you want. But dressing well, dressing purposefully, dressing to show up, dressing to suggest that you actually still have a brain and still have the ability to interact with people of all ages, and making sure that you are seen that way.
So I tested that proposition recently, just out of kick. I was walking down Fifth Avenue and I was wearing, I don't want to say sweat clothes, but things that look like sweat clothes. Not,
You
yeah,
were?
I was. I was doing an errand and I was walking back. And so I decided to go into Bergdorf Goodman and look around. And nobody looked at me. Nobody. I mean, nobody asked if I needed any help. I just loitered. Nobody came up to me.
They should have realized you actually needed clothes. They should have come right over to you.
Right. I mean, it wasn't that badly, but I was I was not looking forward to seeing anybody I knew on the street. I was dressed like that.
Right.
I need to
Scoot
there and scoot back. I went back about 3 or 4 days later, and I was dressed as I would normally be dressed. And everybody asked me if I wanted help.
There you go.
So I'm proving your
point.
point.
So you proved the point.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what else can you do?
What else you can do is insist on being seen. I mean, when people, we published a reel about buying cars, for example, recently.
Mm-hmm.
And we were stunned how many women commented at length about how they were treated when they were trying to buy a car. If they were with a man, the man was the person being spoken to. If they were not with a man, they were unseen. Even when they commenced a conversation about buying a car,
yeah, it was like the guy was looking all over the place. Yeah.
Even after they chose the car dealer would go over to the man and say, okay, I'll get you the car. And so there are ways to deal with that are negative, like stomping out and saying, I'm not going to buy the car after all, which might make an impression, or just saying, I'm not going to buy this car unless you talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere from investment advisors that, look at, if you happen to be with a male person, they're looking at the mail and you basically say, excuse me, I have a question too. I think it's being more aggressive than we used to be.
Yes.
About I'm here. And I think it's more taking the lead when we didn't used to have to. We now do have to call attention to ourselves by saying, I have something to say, there's something to add, I have a question to ask, I have, something to contribute. And it's hard. I don't love it.
But I do think it's changing a bit. At least when I'm dealing with my bank, I've discovered that they're much more even-handed now when I'm with a man. They will speak to both people. And I attribute that in part to my own wonderful efforts in this regard, but in part to all of our efforts, because I think we are starting to make an impression on people. We are here. There are a lot of us. You need to pay attention to us.
I think that's true. But I still think doctors have a problem thinking about us as older women as opposed to just...
Doctors are in a class by themselves.
Doctors are in a class by
themselves. Yes, they are.
But there's still a lot of work to be done, I think. I agree with you on the investment advisor side. My male advisor is very good about meeting with me separately, always. But I think that if we're going to not be invisible, then we have to be here. and we can't expect everybody else to do their part if we don't also do